Hi, Matt with etrailer, and today we're going to be talking about our Titan chains, tire snow chains on our 2023 Chevrolet Blazer. And these are going to be on our tire size 235, 65, R18. Now I do recommend when you are putting on your chains just to double check what your manual says so you know you're putting it on the right axle. But let's kind of take a closer look at why you do need tire chains. Tire chains in general are just going to give you a lot more safety when you are driving on the road, giving you more traction for that snow and ice. Now the ones we have today are going to have those roller links, so they're not going to be super big and bulky, so they're just going to get you through more of your light snow. If anything, I'd actually recommend getting chains like this just if you just need them in case of emergency or you live in a state that just requires you to have chains. Now taking a closer look at those roller links, they're going to sit very low to our vehicle or our tires, and that's actually going to make them S-Class compatible. So if you look back here with our suspension, we're going to have plenty of clearance to get my hand back there. Just make sure when you are installing them, make sure they're tight. And they're also going to be constructed from a low carbon steel, so they're going to be less likely to corrode, but they're not going to be as sturdy as some of our more premium metals, kind of like our nickel alloy on some other chains. We're also going to have this laddered pattern to the chains, and that laddered pattern is going to give you more traction when driving forward. And down here is where we're going to get a lot of our tightening from, just putting this cord with our metal blocks through this channel, and we're going to have this lever built in. That lever is going to help you get all that tension from. And if you're worried that that tensioner down there isn't going to help get this tight enough, I'd recommend just investing in a rubber tensioner. You can find some of them on our website. And all you have to do to get them on here is just attach them to this cord in the center, making sure that hook is facing away from your tire so you don't damage it. And the way you want to put them on typically is kind of like how you tighten up your lug nuts. Just going from the furthest one from each one. And you're going to kind of get this star pattern in the center. And what that's going to help do is when you are driving, if these do loosen up some, then this is going to help bring that tension back in, giving you a nice secure fit. Now our chain's going to come two to a set in this bag, and it's going to be kind of a similar material of something like a backpack. Now it's not going to be super sturdy, but it does have at the bottom these holes, so if you do have any wet chains in here, the ice does melt on them, it's going to have a place to drain. Now if I'm being honest with you, this is probably only going to last you a couple seasons at most, until it starts to degrade and kind of rip open. Another thing I don't like about this one is trying to get your chains back in here is a real hassle. So what I'd recommend honestly is just kind of investing in a small tote to keep your chains in, because it's going to be durable and be able to keep your chains for a long time. Overall, if you're just looking for chains to get you from point A to point B in light snow conditions, or you're looking for something that's for emergencies, or maybe you just live in a state where you really don't need chains, but it's required by law to have them, then I'd say these are going to be the ones for you. As far as installation goes, though, they're pretty okay. I mean, they're pretty straightforward. Now, my only complaint about them is that you have to get on the ground and kind of put them on, especially trying to reach behind here on a car that doesn't have a lot of clearance underneath it. Can be a little bit difficult. But if you do need a hand with that, just stay tuned and we'll show you how to do it. Now, to start off our installation, we're going to want to lay out our chains, and I'd recommend doing this maybe at your own house or your garage, just so you can learn how to put them on. Lay them out. We want to make sure there's no damages to our links or cords, and we want to make sure everything's in the right orientation. So you're going to notice we have some hooks on here. We actually want those to be facing up and away from our tire so they don't make contact and do any damage. And once you've done that, just make sure that this lever at the very end of it is going to be facing away from the vehicle. Once you've done that, we can put them on our tire just by kind of grabbing in the center of it and draping it over the tire itself. Once you kind of get in a good spot where it's kind of even on both sides, your inner and outer tire, then you can kind of swing the bottom in some, so it's going to be a lot easier to grab when we get to those points. Now I'm going to get underneath the vehicle and connect those back points. Now we're going to reach down here and grab this one side with our channel, and then we're going to grab the other side with the cord and the metal blocks on it. It's going to be a little bit hard to see with my gloves, but I'll show you what it looks like on the front side too. Now, if you are a larger person, kind of like me, or just in general, it is going to be pretty hard to get underneath our Blazer today. So you might have to do this blind. But what you want to do is just push those metal blocks through the channel itself and maneuver them in. Now you're going to have to figure out how tight you're going to need it to. So I've already put mine on, so I kind of have a general idea of how tight I want to get it. So you're going to have to work through that with yours. But once you get this on all the way, then you can come to the front side and make those connections. There you go. Now making those front connections is going to be a lot easier, and we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit more too. So on the back you have this channel like this too, just without this lever. Now with us up in the front, we're just going to push these blocks through here just like that, and make sure it's nice and tight. And once you have it right about here, you're going to push this down and make this connection right back here. You're going to have this here too, and this is just for if you have a lot of cord sticking out at the very end. It's just going to grab onto this and keep it secure with the rest of your tire chain. Now when we're at this point, I just like to give it a good tug and pull to make sure everything's nice and tight. And with it nice and tight, I have to repeat that same process on the other side. And after when you've done that, I just recommend either pulling up some or backing up some just to make sure everything's fitting good. And then after that, you can take it for a ride. But if you liked everything you saw today, that was just a look at our Titan Chain Snow Tire Chains on our 2023 Chevy Blazer.